What's up, everybody? TGIF, it is Friday, or Friday. I am here with Ellie. This is Ellie. My name is Dave Pearson. I am a regional educator for L'Oreal Professional for South Florida. Thanks for joining me. What we are going to be doing is we're going to be blowing out Ellie today. So what I'm going to be doing is talking a little bit about her texture to start with. She does have a full head of baby lights on this side. All right. Then what we did was I went back in today and I did more extensive work on her face frame, exaggerating her money piece, adding some more baby lights in here as well. And then I toned it with Dia-Lite 9.1 with 6 volume, left it on for 10 minutes, which neutralized a lot of that unwanted sort of brassy tone. So far, what I have in her hair now, so she is prepped with the Siri Expert Vitamino Color 10-in-1, the new formulation with the resveratrol. All right, so this is protecting her color, giving some vitamin B5 for elasticity, and it's going to help her hair from the antioxidant agents that are just free radicals in our environment. What we're going to do next is we are going to load up her hair with some Transformer. This is the Gel to Mousse. I am going to cocktail this with a little bit of super dust. All right, I learned this on a little L'Oreal Professional video I saw on L'Oreal Access, where they were mixing super dust in with some Volume Envy Extra. So I thought, well, hey, this is a mousse, I can do this too. So we're gonna do a little cocktailing of these two. We're going to see how she finishes, but I'm going to then use some Next Day Hair on her, and then finally some Infinium 4, which is our level 4 hold hairspray. All right. Before we get into the product, so we talked about what we're going to use today. I'm going to talk about it again in a little bit more detail as I'm putting it in the hair. But one of the other things I wanted to talk to you about was hair texture. So Ellie here, she is of texture number 1. Right? So I'm a texture number 1 as well. I have very straight hair fibers. My hair fibers are perfectly round. That my hair fibers grow out of my head in certain directions depending on where you are. Unlike other textures like type 2, there's a little bit more wave to it. The hair follicle itself is not necessarily perfectly round. And then we get to hair texture number 3, which is more intense wave with some curling, a little bit more shape of off round. Then we have level 4 texture, which is coils of curls, a little bit more oval or obelisk shaped, and it changes the way the hair grows out of the head. So instead of growing down as we start to get to texture 4 and 5, the hair actually starts to grow out up to perfectly like straight out of the head for level 5, which is then coiled and or zigzagged curl texture. So just a little bit about texture. So if you are working on doing a blow dry style on somebody with level 2, 3, or 4 texture and you're wanting to do a blowout, what I am going to recommend for you is to do that blow dry with something more like a boar bristle brush. Okay, so this one, which is white in color, this is for blondes, so that you're blow drying a blonde with a brush that has no colorant, right? You don't want to mistakenly leave any color behind if there was some mishap with the dye or what have you, which made these black bristles. So these are meant for blondes. I have them in every size. What this is going to do for you that's different than this, right? This is our normal metal. So in my case, I think mine are titanium. They are ceramic coated. The difference between these two brushes is tension. And why that's important has to do with the texture of the hair. So when you're with a level 1 hair, a level 2 hair, this brush is perfect, right? So how you're going to work shape into the hair is actually with gentle manipulation, right? So working the hair, working the curl into the hair. This brush is going to retain heat, which is going to heat and break down the bonds in the hair, which allow them to curl. And then as you use your cool shot button and let it sit while it cools, the memory then takes the shape of the curl. That's for level 1, level 2 textured hair. With level 3, 4, and 5 textured hair, you need something with a bit more grip. So these boar bristle brushes, what they do is they actually grip the hair. They do a lot of the tension for you. So you see how the brush isn't slipping through as much? That's because these boar bristles are actually providing tension and friction to help smooth and straighten and smooth and straighten that hair. Now, you can still work a bend into this as well, like you would with a metal brush. But the metal brush, you are providing the tension. With the boar bristle brush, the boar bristle brush is providing the tension. All right, so that's the difference between using a metal brush with ceramic coating and a boar bristle brush. So I have the boar bristle brush for dark hair as well. Again, I have it in every single size. I'm gonna give you a little close-up of this one. See, I need a new one. This one has been well used. That's the reason why it's concaved is actually the heat from the blow dryer. All right, and working that tension, right? So heat and blow dry, working that tension over and over and over makes these boar bristle brushes concaved because you're applying heat directly to one section, and so when they get used frequently. I worked at a blow dry bar. These got used pretty much every day for level 3, 4, and 5 textures to get that smooth and straight, or smooth with some curl, or smooth with some wave. That's why that's concave. So I really do need to order a new one of these. I didn't really do as much blondes blow dry, so this one's not concaved. It's actually newer, so that one's probably a year older than these. And again, I have both of these colors. I have them all sizes in both colors. All right, you need to be prepared for who comes into your chair. Now back to our metallic brushes, right? Our metal brushes. So again, mine are titanium. They are coated in ceramic, which helps for heat retention. These retain the heat really, really well. Now, what you'll notice is my brushes are square. This same company makes these same brushes in the same sizes in round as well. The reason why I chose the square versus the round was this. And let me show you. When you are using a brush that is square, what you can do is to create smooth hair, you can actually blow dry the hair on the corner of the brush, which is going to create more smoothness to give you a straight blow dry. When you are using this side of the brush, you're able to get more curl. So what I found is with using the square brush, I can give a killer round brush blow dry with this brush, even though it's square, but I can actually do a straight smooth blow dry as well because of the corners. I'm just working the hair more on the corners when I'm doing a smooth, straight blow dry. All right, so that's the only difference. Like I said, this company makes round brushes as well. Funny story, this company, their headquarters is in the town next to where I grew up. So they're based out of Antioch, California. I grew up next door in Oakley, California. And so it's kind of like a hometown girl. She made it good, right? She made some amazing brushes. All right, so now let's get into the product. So as you can see, this side was baby lighted, all right? She got really bright. This side is a mixture of baby lights and hand painting. So the difference between hand painting and balayage is just the amount of saturation. So hand painting is done through the same motions of balayage, except for you're pulling more saturation through zones 2 and 3. So it's much more saturated, so you get much more brightness and much more lift, right? So when you're doing a balayage, you can't see lightener on the underside when you're painting a balayage. When you're doing a hand painting, usually you're seeing lightener on both sides of the hair, all right? And that's the difference between a balayage and a hand painting. All right. So again, I've already primed her with the Siri-Expert 10-in-1. It also has heat protection in it up to 450 degrees, so that's always important when you're going to do heat styling. Now I'm going to take out my Techniart transformers. Okay, this is a level 3 hold. This comes out as a gel. All right, comes out as a gel. There we go. You can tap it in your hands and it foams into a mousse. All right, so you can put it into the hair as a gel, or you can work it into the hair as a mousse. There we go. It just took a minute to focus. All right, so what I'm gonna do is, on the top of the head, I'm gonna do a cocktail with some super dust. So I'm actually gonna just take my super dust and put some right on the mousse. Now I'm just gonna give that a little bit of mix. All right, kind of makes the mousse go away, turns it more back into the gel type texture, but this is where I want a lot of volume, right? I want volume on the top of her head. She's spinning like The Exorcist, so don't mind her. She has a life of her own sometimes. Oh, now she locked, okay. All right. So that's on the top. Now I'm just gonna take a little bit more of the gel mousse. I don't want the same amount of volume on the mids and ends as I do on the top. So I'm not putting the super dust on the area of the mids and ends. I'm just working it in. All right, and you also saw where her parting was. So we're gonna go through the blow dry, see what we get done in a half an hour, and we'll post the final look if we don't finish. All right. Usually I can do this in about a half an hour, but not talking. All right. So I am going to need a couple things. So I need my comb. I like this nice wide tooth comb with a prominent separator to create partings. And I have some of my clips behind me. And so here's what we know about her so far. She parts right here. All right. So what I'm going to do first is thank you, you love my shirt. What I'm gonna do first is you wanna identify her part. So if she parts on the left-hand side, which is where this Ellie parts, I'm gonna create a mohawk section with her parting in the center of it. If she's a center parter, then I'm gonna make a mohawk section in the center of her head. If she parts on the right, I'm just gonna shift the mohawk over to the right. The parting should be live in the center of your mohawk section, all right? And you'll see why once we're done. So I'm just gonna go ahead and create my mohawk section. Now, I mentioned I worked at a blow dry bar. So I worked at the very first blow dry bar in America. It was called Blow the New York Blow Dry Bar. It was on 14th Street in Chelsea, in Manhattan, all right? And it was a big deal. So it was the very first one. Everyone else copied us. And it was amazing to have worked in the salon. It was amazing to have worked in their academy, training people how to blow dry hair as well. So a couple things. Going back to my brush for a second. Now, this is gonna be my section, but how does it relate to the bristles on my brush? This section is more narrow than the brush. It's more narrow than the brush, which means I can actually thicken my section a little bit. So the sectioning should be no longer than the width of your brush, all right? Because that way, you won't be over-directing hair from where it lives, all right? And then you'll get a better blow dry that way. All right, so now, this section fits perfectly on my bristles. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just knot this. And I'm going to ignore this for a while. But you see this little tail? All right. You want to tuck this little tail as much as you can because you don't want it drying while it's sitting there. We want to control how it dries. So tuck it as best you can and then pin it away. All right. The other thing that you're going to notice is how far back my section came. So my section actually ends here, not here. The reason why is that this is a flat part on everyone's head. So when you do a blow dry style and you don't bring their volume section below the flat spot, you'll see the flat spot. So we're going to create volume and a cushion for the volume here so that you never end up getting a flat spot again. All right, now we're going to turn to the side. Same thing. All right, I'm going to take this comb here, pointer finger. I'm going to go to the edge of my section in the back, and I'm going to go right towards her mastoid process. All right. Same thing. I'm just going to smooth this all into my hand, nice and controlled hair, and I'm going to knot this as well. So one of the things you could have done as well, which I do typically do, is to pre-dry the hair as well. But just for time purposes today, I'm just going to skip that step. But I'm still trying to tuck these little ends away so we don't get them dry before their time. All right, so she's tucked away. Now, let's keep turning. Again, taking my pointer to the bottom of that section, drawing it again right to the mastoid process. This is where I'm starting. So I'm just going to pin this out of the way, and then I'm left with the back. Okay, so all I'm going to do with that for now is also pin that out of the way. So I'm just taking all of this hair into a knot, getting it out of the way, so we're not drying the important pieces of those hair. If this part gets a little dry, that's fine. It just aids us. But if you get those ends dry, that's going to impede us, and we don't want to impede our blow dry. So now what we're going to do, now we have this side. So again, we're going to go back to the brush, and we're going to use our brush as a guide. This whole section from top to here will not fit in the bristles. That means this needs to be two sections. Easy. Again, take the point, slice it through. Now I'm splitting this section into two sections. So I have a top section and a bottom section. What I'm going to do is knock this out of the way. Again, we don't want to dry that before it's time either. Now, we're going to go back to our brush. Will this section fit in the bristles? The answer technically is no. So what we're going to do technically then is we're going to split this in two. All right, one more clip here, which means I'm starting with this piece, and I am going to twist and move this piece out of the way. Now, when you're behind the chair and you're doing this client after client after client, it's much faster, okay? So I'm breaking it down for you, which is why it looks a little bit more slow. Like you're like, oh, this blow dry is going to take a long time. It really doesn't, okay? It's just, you have to learn the steps of the blow dry in order to get it right every time. All right, and so the brushes that I'm going to be using today for this blow dry are these two. All right, so this is a 1 inch, this is 1 1/4. This is for the sides. This is creating more bend. This is creating more volume, but it's smoother, less curl. This is what we're going to use to blow dry the mohawk. You ready to get going? I heard those yeses, so I'm gonna go, all right? But I use a Dyson, use whatever you got. All right. I love mine. I have 0 complaints over my Dyson. This is a Generation 2. I love the new auditory note. It is different than the version that was the first version. The magnetic nozzles are stronger, which I also love. The only thing I still wish they would change is the location of the cool shot. It should be on the front, all right? We're not doing it with our thumb, we're doing it with our trigger finger. So, if you're watching from Dyson. All right, so what I'm gonna do, before I turn my dryer on to make some noise here, is what we're gonna realize is that we have a box now, right? You see that? It's a box. So what I call this is drying the box. So what you do is you're gonna take your brush and you're gonna put the brush on top of the hair. You're using your thumb to create tension, right? You're taking these ends and you're putting them over out of the way. You're gonna take your hair dryer and you're going to dry about 1 inch to 2 inches right here. So 1, 2, 3, pass, right? That's it. It's really fast. The blow dryer is really hot, all right? Then you're gonna take your brush on top of the hair, use your thumb, move the hair over here, and same thing. 1, 2, 3, all right? Then you're gonna go to the back. You're doing the same exact action. Brush is on top of the hair, 1, 2, 3, and then underneath. Oh, and I just unpinned my section. All right. So, brush is on the hair. Move it out of the way. 1, 2, 3. You need to just go around the hair, usually about 2 or 3 times, depending on the hair density. All right, in all reality, the denser the hair, the more times you're gonna have to go around that box. But if you don't get the box dry, you'll not remove the moisture at the root. And the moment your client leaves, her hair is going to refrizz, and nobody wants that. So the other thing that you're gonna see me do as I'm blow drying is I don't do this, okay? This action creates frizz. Nobody wants a frizzy blow dry, especially when they're paying for it. They can give themselves a frizzy blow dry. If you're giving them a professional blow dry, that blow dry had damn well better be smooth, all right? And so how you achieve that is by moving your nozzle in one direction. I call it C scooping, right? So you're creating a C shape. You're scooping the hair, and you'll see what I mean as I get going. All right, so we're gonna dry the box. Again, brush on top of the hair, pressure with your thumb, tail out of the way. Turning it on, high heat, high volume. 1, 2, 3. All right, same thing. 1, 2, 3. Now to the back. 1, 2, 3. Now underneath. 1, 2, 3. So that's one time around. One more time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So by drawing the box the way we just did, look at the volume that's coming off of her scalp. That is because we dried the roots straight away from the scalp, all right? That's how your guest gets volume, and that's how your guest gets movement. We're not blow drying our hair down, we're blow drying our hair straight out. That's a volume blow dry. Then, this particular blow dry today, what we're gonna do, it's called smooth with movement. So these under pieces, this lower section is going to get blown dried without curl, but smooth, but to her face, all right? So this section is gonna get blown dried smooth, and then we're gonna release it towards her face. The section that we pin beside it, right behind it, is going to get blow dried the same way. This upper section is gonna get blow dried in a backwards motion, right? So backwards curls, and it's going to go away from her face. So to her face and away from her face. So let's get to it. So because we're going towards her face, the brush goes underneath. All right. The brush should be following the hair. When the brush has no tension, that means the hair is dry. When your brush encounters tension, that means there's still moisture there. All right. See how easy it's sliding through now? That's 100% dry. All right. Now, what I'm doing right now, this is polishing those ends. We want those ends nice and smooth. All right. Now we're going to cool shot on the brush. And just cool shot, cool shot, cool shot. And now I am spinning the brush towards her face for a release. Okay? So this is smooth, but you can see the movement that it has. There's still volume at that root. Then you're going to take the piece behind it. We're going to dry the box, just like we did before. All right, top, 1, 2, 3. Side, 1, 2, 3. Back side, 1, 2, 3. Bottom, 1, 2, 3. Back to the top, 1, 2, 3. Front side, 1, 2, 3. Back side, 1, 2, 3. Bottom, 1, 2, 3. Now the roots are dry. Brush goes on top, goes under the hair. Right? Now we're drying and smoothing. All right, drying and smoothing. See how that brush is just sliding through that hair? Polishing up those ends. You always want to make sure that you're giving the ends some attention. Nobody likes frizzy ends, right? Cool shot. And now we're rolling the brush off the hair. All right. Now all you do is just take these two pieces, all right, gather them, kind of merge them together, all right, and then shape them in the direction that they're going, which is forward. Okay, perfect. Still with me? Now we're on to section 2, the top section, right, of this side, her right side. I can do this also in 2 sections. That'll fit in my brush. Sometimes your guest's head may be a little bit more wide this way, so break it into 3 sections, it's no biggie. But control the hair, that's what's important. You have to control the hair. So I'm just going to split this in half. This back part, again, I'm going to twist it out of the way and pin it around the back. That way those ends don't get dry. Going back to my 1-inch brush, we are still going to go through the same exact motions as we did below, which is drying the box. So now your box is here, 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 and on the back side. And again, we're going to be blow drying it straight off the head. And it looks like this. Again, hair, brush on top of the hair. You're locking it with your thumb. And you're going 1, 2, 3. Moving to the front. Locking with your thumb here. 1, 2, 3. Now to the back. 1, 2, 3. Now to the bottom. Oh, I lost her. There we go. And I picked up dry hair. All right. All right, here we go. 1, 2, three. One more time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Back side. 1, 2, 3. And bottom. 1, 2, 3. Now again, check it. That's volume. It's standing out from the head. So now what we're going to do is this section, get all this. That's from below. This section, instead of us putting the brush underneath and going smooth towards the face, what we're going to do is use this arrow that's created right here, because that tells us where our brush should go. So we use that arrow as our diagonal or our directional. Okay, see that here? This arrow right here. Oh, here and here, here and there. All right. So what we're going to do, because we want this hair to go back away from the face, is the brush now is going to go on top of the hair. Then we're going to wrap the hair, pull it, and put a curl in there so that we can unwrap it away from her face. All right. All right. So brush on top now. So one of the other things that you're going to see me do is that this, if I was to blow dry like that, that's not comfortable, right? My arm, my wrist is being put at a disadvantage for carpal tunnel. So what I do is I've actually learned how to flip my dryer, right? So for the bottom underneath part, I'm going to flip my dryer so my dryer goes like that. I do it without thinking about it. So I just wanted to point it out to you so you could watch for when I do it. All right, so just smooth this piece out. Tuck those tails over and out of the way, and then we're going to get to drying. All right, we're going to rock this. Just feeling a little loose. I'm going to put my foot here. All right. You're going to keep going over zone 1 and zone 2 until the brush slides through smoothly. That's when the hair is dry. All right, one more time. Now, if you get somebody who has really dense hair, there's no saying that you can't lock this curl on here and then scoop it from above and make sure that you're getting the top and the bottom dry. Totally fine, all right? But always then go back to the way you were and make sure you're finishing up with your shape. Now I can pull into zone 3. Go back to zone 2 now. Back to zone 2. Still a little damp. There's still some struggle. There we go. So you see how smooth this comes through now? That means it's all dry. Sorry, my elbow's in the way here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the whole pull through one more time, but with a cool shot. So cool, cool, cool. And now what I'm going to do is release it from my brush. Okay. So there she is. So this piece goes away from the face. This piece comes towards the face. But you see the volume that we've created is straight off of her head. All right. That's optimal. So then normally what I would do is I would take this beautiful piece that we just unwrapped, and I would actually take it and wrap it around this dry piece that's going towards her face. It just allows it to cool in a shape. Now we're going to take the piece behind, right? This is our last piece on this side, and we're going to do the same thing one more time. We're going to do the box, and then we're going to dry. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Bottom. All right. 1, 2, 3. Back to the top. 1, 2, 3. Front. 1, 2, 3. Back. 1, 2, 3. And bottom. All right. Now the brush is going to come back over here on top of the hair. And again, we're going to work that bend in. I'm going to try and do it so you can watch. So I'm doing zone 1 and zone 2 until they're dry. And now I'm going to work on zone 2 and 3. Polishing the ends. Polishing those ends. Cool shot. Now I'm going to drop my brush and let it off. So this is zipped, okay? Smooth with movement. So now, in reality, what I would do here, let me back this up, is now I would grab this top piece, right? And now I've merged the two top pieces together. Smooth them, and then they go backwards. All right? You can still twist them around the hair that's going forward. All right? That just allows it to cool this way. And then in the end, you're going to just work your hands through it and break it up a little bit. All right? So I lost my little knot holding the back. So let me put that back in. Oh, it's not wanting to cooperate, which means I need new clips. All right, so now we're on to the left side, her left side. I consider this to be my easy side because I can fly through this side really quickly. The right side is my hard side, which means my brush is a different direction. My body and my blow dryer has to twist. On my easy side, none of that has to happen. Correct. So this, width-wise, is fine. I'll be able to do this in 2 sections. 1, 2. All right, so twist this out of the way. All right, get it out. Over and out. Back to my 1-inch brush, which we haven't changed yet. We're still on a 1-inch brush. We are still working on drying the box. Right, brush on top, thumb, tension. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now this is the front. 1, 2, 3. Just slightly different order. All right, and then the bottom. Back to the top. Now to the back. Now to the front. And finally, back to the bottom. All right, and once again, you can see the volume is coming straight off her scalp. right? That's what drying the box does. Okay, now this side, this is the lower piece, which means our brush is coming underneath the hair. We're going to be smoothing it and working it towards the face. Not necessarily looking for a lot of curl here. Still need to polish those ends, so those ends don't look frizzy at all. Alright. Now I'm going to do pull shot. And then I'm going to let my brush work off towards the front. There we go. Look at those baby lights. Aren't they amazing? I love them. All right. Now we can go back to this section that we had pinned out. This is the section that's going to go towards away from the face, right? So back. Again, we're going to dry the box just like we have been doing. Back at the front. This one's a little narrower, so it should go pretty quick. So with this one, the brush goes on top of the hair, and we're working it, pulling it over, directing it forward, which is helping to create volume while we're working in bend. So we're on zone 1 and zone 2 right now. And we stay there until the brush goes smoothly through it. All right. Now we can work on zone 3 by starting at zone 2. Go back to zone 2, pulling it through zone 3. Right, wherever the brush is sticking means there's still moisture. This is also where you can start to look for potential damage in case she has a lot of highlights done. You don't want to put too much tension on fragile hair, so you may need to back off the heat a little bit. So this is all cool shot right now. Still on cool. Right. And now I'm going to let this off. All right, cool. So again, I take this upper one that's going away from the face, and I'm going to wrap it around the one that's going towards her face. All right. Her color looks amazing. All right, so that's the sides. I'm going to skip the back for you all today, but I am going to do the top. All right. So normally what I would have done during my initial consultation is I would have said to my guest, do you like a lot of volume? Like, do you want your bangs or your height to be higher, the higher, the closer to God, all that kind of stuff? If the answer to that question was yes, then I am going to start in the front and work my way to the back, and then I'm going to set the curl from front to back into 3 different pin curls, allowing it to dry individually. That's going to give it the maximum volume on the top of the scalp. It's also going to give it the maximum curl, cooling in different pin curls. If your guest says, no, I just want like normal volume, I don't need to be close to God today, then I'm actually going to start in the back, and I'm going to do 3 sections. 1, 2 to the front, I'm not going to pin curl them in a pin. I'm not going to let them cool that way. I'm just going to dry down here, right? This is the support for all of this back section, so you don't get a flat spot. That's what this area is right here. The middle is for crown volume, and the front is for volume off her face, okay? So this is what this will look like. So I'm just gonna let this up. So this is the back, right? That's one section. This is the back. This is the middle, and this is the front. This piece, the back piece, this is the only piece that we are going to do during this blow dry with our arms going straight up in the air. Everything else, this top piece, we're going to dry, not straight up. It's bad for our shoulders, right? Bad for our neck. We're going to dry it over directed, pulling it forward, creating maximum volume when you go backwards. The front piece, we're going to do the same. We're going to blow dry it forward, over directed forward, to create maximum volume. So we're just going to leave those out of the way. We're going to start right here in the back. Now we are going up to our 1 1/4 brush. All right, so like I said, this is the one section where our arms are going to be up. All right, we're still doing the box drying. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We're still doing that. Still coming straight off the head. And then the bottom. Back to the front. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm kind of doing this in slow motion for you guys, but believe me, when you're doing this behind the chair with a guest, you really can't do it slow because you'll burn their head. So it goes quicker than you think. Now I'm going to blow dry this section. Brush goes underneath the hair. We're going to pull our arms up. All right? We're still, the brush and the blow dryer is still going in one direction. Right? No shaking. We're concentrating on zone 1 and zone 2. And now zone 1 and 2 are dry. So now zone 2, zone 3. As far as zones go, you approach it like a balayage. Zone 1, 2, and 3. It's the same. And we're getting there. Alright. See now it's not sticking anymore? That means it's dry. Now we're going to cool shot. We're going to just walk the brush off. Do you see that volume? There won't be a flat spot here because this piece underneath of it is going to support this from going flat. Sweet! Section 2. All right. We're in the home stretch, peeps. All right, put section 1 up front. We are going to change positions now. Now I'm going to be on this side. We're still going to be drying the box. Straight up, just like we've always been doing. Right. Now what I'm going to do is my brush is going to go behind the hair. The hair is going over the brush. and I'm going to over direct forward. So zone 1, zone 2. Need a little foot grip. So this over-directing forward is how we're building in volume at the top of the hair without damaging or harming our own shoulders. All right, so my shoulders in their neutral position. You're still going to see the amount of volume that we've created though. All right, now zone 2. Zone 3. No stick. Cool shot. Yeah. No. I'm gonna walk it off the brush. All right. Can you see the volume? Look at that. Get over here. Sticking straight up. So that we want to go back. And now we have the front. And I see I got some white pieces on her balayage and her baby lights, so I'm pretty happy about that. All right. So one last time with blow drying the box, straight off of her head. Every one of my blow dries starts with blow drying the boxes. Right? No matter if it's curly or straight. Alright. Now we're going to work in this volume by over directing it. I'm going to put my dryer back to zone 1. Back to zone 1. This little action that I'm doing, we used to call it rocking and rolling. Because we're rocking it and rolling the head. Rocking it, rolling it. That's what creates the curl. It's also why we're starting at the root. We're starting on base. If you started at the end, that's how you create straight hair. Alright, zone 2. Zone 3, zone 2, zone 3, zone 2, one more time, bring it all the way through, cool shot, and we're going to up it, and I'm going to blow it off. So now, here's the reveal. All right, so where'd it go? My comb is in my pocket. So now, I know her parts here. You can actually see the difference where the baby light started. So that's where her hair parts. By putting her part in the center of that mohawk section is how you create that volume right there. All right. If you were to start your blow dry from here, this part's going to end up being flat. You're not going to have that same amount of volume right at her root area. right? So considering that this is not volume, like closer to God volume, this is just natural volume, that's a lot of volume. Would you agree? Yeah. And her baby lights are looking bomb. So, normally what I would do now, if this was really my guest in the chair, is I would just kind of work it through with my fingers a little bit, making sure her partings were correct, right? We didn't do the back of her head yet, so we're not necessarily going to worry about that. But I mean, whew, she looks good. Girl, you look good. So now what I'm going to do is, all of this right here was all the hair we blew dry, round brushed backwards away from her face. All right. I'm going to give that one big twist together, and I'm just going to kind of put it out of the way for a second. All this hair here was what we blow dried towards her face. I'm going to give her a little bit of Infinium. All right. And now what I'm going to just do is take this, spin one more time, and then just loosen it. Okay. Same for this side. All right, I'm going to take her hair, separate it. Again, this was all round brushed to go backwards. So just sit that out of the way for a second. All right. This is everything that was blow dried first, that went towards her face. All right, just giving that nice and smooth. Now giving this the same twisting action that we did on the other side, merging all this together. She has a lot of nice texture in here that we built in using our transformer gel mousse that we cocktailed with super dust. So, right, we cocktailed those. So it already has some gritty texture built in, which is amazing. Okay. And that is what's giving her this fabulousness that's happening right now. All right. Here's Ellie's round brush blow dry, smooth with movement, by yours truly, Dave Pearson. Ooh, looks like my own hair got blow dried. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me, and you guys have an amazing day.